Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our class today on how you can book more business using webinars. I'm Jennifer Goddard. I'm going to be your instructor today. I'm the CEO of Integrity Marketing Solutions. For those of you that I haven't met and maybe who are not familiar with us, we are a digital marketing agency. We provide comprehensive marketing solutions. Not just webinars, but webinars are one of the things that we offer for our clients. We've been in business since 1995 and serve exclusively estate planning and elder law attorneys. Just to give you a little overview of what we're going to be covering today, the first thing we're going to talk about is whether a webinar marketing funnel is going to be a good choice for you right now. How do you decide whether this is something that you should invest in now? And really take a look at your goals and be honest about how they may align with the outcome that webinar marketing can deliver. Then we're going to look at how to craft a campaign that delivers good results, from developing the webinar itself to getting people to register and watch, and then of course your follow-up and sales. If you don't have that in place, then you're going to have, like no revenue coming from it. So those are all the important aspects of this. And we're going to also look at some common mistakes people make in setting up these campaigns and running them that can end up with not very good results. Then we're going to take a look at some of the benchmarks. So what are your reasonable expectations? And then what could be your stretch goals? What could you expect to have happen if you implement this and do a really good job with it? So that's kind of the overview for today. Just a little bit about us. We work exclusively, like I said, with estate planning and elder law attorneys. We do offer a wide variety, a comprehensive digital marketing solution, from video marketing to websites and search engine optimization, content marketing. But today we're focused on this webinar marketing campaign, which is something that we have a lot of experience with. We've been working with our clients for many years, creating powerful webinars, building the funnels, and then running the ads and helping them really make money and get the results that they want from these webinars. One of our goals in managing the ads is to make sure that we get your cost per lead down so we can scale your budget while still providing you with a good stream of marketing qualified leads. So we don't want to just throw a bunch of low quality leads, but also we don't want to be spending too much per lead. So we have a lot of benchmarks that we set. I'm going to share those with you today for what we think is a high performing webinar marketing funnel. And just to give you a little bit of background of where we fall in this webinar marketing expertise, we manage over $1 million in annual ad spend on Facebook. That's across all of our client accounts. For our webinar marketing accounts, our average cost per lead runs around $14. Now it'll vary. I'll show you some specific cases. It'll vary around that, but that's a very good average cost per lead for us. That we're happy when we see that. Our clients will average about 80 leads per month. And, again, it can vary. It will definitely vary by market and by budget. But when I look across the board, that's kind of the average that I see. And we also see about a 20% revenue boost. Now, all of that, of course, will depend on where you are with your revenue. You know that a 10% boost, if you're only doing $10,000 a month, is not a big boost. But a 10% boost, if you're doing $750,000 a year, that's a big boost. So we see a good revenue boost for our clients who implement these webinar marketing funnels. When we talk about costs, I want you to think and remember one thing that's really important for your law firm. You look at all of your expenses, what you're spending on staff, what you spend on your systems and your software, what you spend on your marketing. Those things pale in comparison to the cost of the money that you're not making. So for example, if I get one person to manage my ads for $100 a month, but they only bring in one lead, then that's not very cost effective, because what I'm missing is that opportunity cost. And for most of the firms that we work with, that's really the biggest cost that they have. When things don't work and you don't have the opportunity and you can't get in front of clients, that's the biggest cost that you have. So let's take a look at the difference between what we talk about in webinar marketing is a live webinar versus what we're going to be focused on today, which is the evergreen webinar marketing funnel. So some of you may have experience with live webinars, and live webinars are like this one that we're doing right now. This is a live webinar, and they can be extremely effective. We do live webinars on a monthly basis, and they are very effective, but there are some drawbacks. And one of them is that the best way to promote a live webinar is with email. And a lot of times, our attorney clients come to us, they don't have a big marketing email list. They have an email list of their clients, but they don't yet have a big prospect email list. So sometimes email marketing for a live webinar isn't very effective if you don't have a big list of prospective clients. So if you don't have a big list to email, then you kind of look at Facebook advertising. And one of the problems with marketing a live webinar on Facebook is that you usually start those ads about 10 days out from your event. And that doesn't give the ads time to really optimize. So it can become expensive to get people registered if you're relying on paid advertising for a live webinar. But the biggest thing that I see with most attorneys is that they don't have the time, or they don't want to devote the time to creating and delivering live webinars on a consistent basis. It takes a lot of prep work, and then you have to show up and deliver. If you are already busy, that can be something that could be a big drawback for you, that you just don't have the time, or you don't want to devote it to creating and delivering, showing up for a live webinar on a consistent basis. So what we're going to be focused on today is what I call an evergreen webinar marketing funnel, where we create one webinar and we work with you to do that. And then we let that run for us kind of in the background, a little sort of a set it and forget it kind of a thing from the attorney's standpoint. Facebook advertising for this webinar marketing funnel works really well because the ads run continuously, and that gives them time to optimize. So you get data feedback, the Facebook algorithm works for you, when to make a change. So you really get the most bang for your buck in terms of advertising when those ads run continuously. Also, we can solve one of the problems of not having an email prospect list. When we're advertising on Facebook, we can be building that prospect list, because not everybody that clicks through on your ad and watches your webinar is going to schedule a call right away, is going to become a client right away. In fact, most people will not. So what you end up doing is building a really good targeted email list that you can then go back to and email that prospect list if you do want to do a live webinar. So it really can help solve some of the problems that prevent people from having success with their live webinars by running this all the time. Also, by having these ads running continuously, you build and boost your visibility on social media. You build your authority on social media. You can build your brand because people keep seeing these ads. And everyone that interacts or engages with your ad can become part of your retargeting campaign. And we find that retargeting campaigns can be very budget friendly, very low budget, and very high return on investment. So there's a lot of benefits to running this evergreen funnel and always having these ads running. You can build your email list and you have your retargeting, as well as you get the biggest bang for your buck because you're optimizing those ads over time. But the biggest payoff that I see for most of my clients is these busy attorneys, this webinar marketing funnel keeps working in the background. It works 24/7. It's just bringing in leads, and you're not having to create and present and manage a webinar, a live webinar, or a live workshop over and over and over. So overall, I think there are a lot of advantages, both live webinars. Obviously, I must believe in them. I'm right here doing one. Live webinars work well, but the evergreen has certain advantages that might be really important to you when you consider whether you want to do this evergreen marketing funnel or stick with doing live webinars. So why are webinars so powerful, and why are they so hot right now? It seems like every estate planning attorney at least has heard about the power of webinars. Well, one of the things that's important to know about estate planning marketing, elder law marketing, is you have this very strong marketing imperative. People have, you need this steady stream of qualified clients. You don't have like a big payoff where you're going to get like, $1 million or $10 million from a settlement. You typically don't have recurring retainer fees. So you've got to have, ongoing leads and new prospects and new clients at all times. A lot of attorneys have built their practice on word of mouth and on referrals, and that's great. But at some point, you find out that these referrals and word of mouth, they're not reliable. They kind of ebb and flow, and you don't really have any control over that. And so for those reasons, it's not scalable. So there comes a point in most attorneys' practice where they say, what else could I do to get qualified leads? What else could I do to bring in more prospective clients? So this webinar marketing funnel can solve a lot of those frustrations by attracting your ideal clients who are right in your market, because we can do some really, laser targeting for your audience. We leverage your time. So once we have this set up and we're running it for you, you're just working with clients. You can go on and focus on other things. And we leverage your budget because we're using all these automations. You can outsource the management, and it really sets you up because you're taking people through an educational process. You're taking them through a pre-qualification process before you ever talk to anyone. You're really set up for very high closing rates and shorter sales cycles. People that come directly through your website frequently are not prepared for a high-level conversation. And that's one of the frustrations that some of our clients have with digital marketing. When they come to us, they say, well, I get a lot of leads, but they're not qualified. And if that's something that you've said, then a webinar might be a good choice for you because it helps to pre-qualify people before you ever talk to them. So to wrap up, you can attract ideal clients who are right in your local market. You can leverage your time and your budget, and you can boost your sales conversion rates and even your average fee, because people are, they've been brought through this process. So they're very well qualified by the time you get to speaking to them on the phone, rather than just someone who just saw your website, made a phone call, and maybe that first question that they ask is, how much do you charge for a living trust, or how much do you charge for a will? If you're finding that is one of your frustrations, then this webinar marketing funnel might be a really good choice for you to help resolve some of those issues in your practice. So webinar marketing through a funnel is a good fit for you if you want more leads or you want better qualified leads. It's also something that we see greater success when people have a strong digital marketing foundation. So they already have a website that's working. They already have solid search engine optimization. They're showing up online. They already have some marketing automations, and they have a CRM so that they can run more automations through that CRM. Now, that's not to say that some people don't jump right into a webinar marketing funnel and that's their primary way of marketing. But for those people, typically their costs per lead, their costs per call book, their client acquisition costs through the funnel are higher than for people who already have a good marketing foundation. So if you're in that situation where you have those things in place, then that's like one star in your column as to whether this might be a good fit for you. I also find that clients who are comfortable with social media, I don't mean you have to be a social media guru, but if you're comfortable with social media, then this is going to be a lot more successful for you. When I show you some of the case studies, the people that we are seeing have really good results, they're comfortable with social media. They may not be like great big fans of Zuckerberg. They may not be big fans of Facebook, but they're comfortable with it. It's really important that you either have or you will have excess capacity. So right now your calendar's got some availability, or maybe you're bringing on an associate and you're going to have some excess capacity. So you really need to be in that position where you would like to have more leads and you know that you can handle them. It also is really helpful if you have a sales mentality. Not every attorney does, but most of the attorneys that we work with, they understand that sales is just, like it's the word that we put on how you help people. If you can't close people and engage them, they engage you, then you're not helping them. So if you really have a good sales mentality, that's going to help a lot. And then you have to have enough budget flexibility to pay for the ad spend and for management of those ads. If you're in that, if you can say yes to most of those things, then webinar marketing funnel is probably a really good choice for you. Now, on the other hand, there may be some better choices. Like I said, we do a comprehensive digital marketing. So sometimes people think, it's kind of like where you are, people think that they need a revocable living trust, but in their specific case, maybe a will is the best solution for them. It's kind of the same way with the webinar marketing funnel. Sometimes people come to us and they say, I know I need a webinar, but we kind of look at some of the things that are going on in the practice. Maybe a will is going to be a better solution in your particular case. So if you're just now building your marketing and your sales systems, there might be some other choices that could be better for you right now. If you don't have anyone to take phone calls, then including, you don't have the capacity to take phone calls. If all of the phone calls that come into your office are going to an answering service and there's no way around that right now, then you might want to think about that before you jump into a webinar marketing funnel. If your budget is really tight and the idea of spending $1,000 a month is just absolutely not possible, then there are other things that we can do to get you into a position where this is $1,000 a month is not a big deal. So it's not like you can't do any marketing. It's just that maybe the webinar funnel might be down the line for you a little bit. Let's maybe do some other things to get some revenue going. If you absolutely refuse to have a social media presence, you just say, I'm not playing that game, I'm not going to be on social media, then we're probably going to be looking at something that's more like a search engine optimization play or a play on Google. There's lots of other options, but this webinar marketing funnel works extremely well on social media. So if you have a bias and you're not going to change your mind, then you might want to look at some other options, right? If you already have trouble converting leads into new clients, then you might want to look at some sales training while you're launching the webinar funnel, or even before you launch the webinar funnel. You need to have some ability, to bring people to a decision and get them to engage with you. So, James does a tremendous sales coaching, sales training program for attorneys and for staff. So if sales closing is an issue in your practice, then you might want to look at that before or in conjunction with launching the webinar marketing funnel. So to kind of summarize, if you want more leads, Even if other marketing strategies are working for you, but at this point you want more volume, or if you're looking for better qualified leads, even if you already have a good lead flow, but you're like, gosh, these people are just coming to me and they're asking questions that are off the wall, and they're always worried about price, and I just need them to be better qualified, then this webinar funnel could be an answer to that issue. Okay. And then the other thing is time leverage. If you have been doing live workshops or even live webinars, you might be worn out from the grind of presenting live, whether that's in person or online. And maybe you have other things that you want to focus your time on. There may be other aspects of your practice that you want to focus on. There may be another marketing venue that you would like to pursue, or maybe that you'd like to have more time for your life outside of your office. If any of those things you say yes to, I need more leads, I need better qualified leads, I need to leverage my time, then webinar marketing funnel is something you definitely should be looking at. It can really deliver more leads, better qualified leads, and give you freedom to focus your time on other things, whether that's serving more clients, pursuing something else like writing a book, some other kind of a marketing effort, or just living life, is having some time to relax and enjoy your family or enjoy a passion that you have outside of the office. If any of these things you say yes to, these things resonate with you, then this webinar marketing funnel might be a good choice for you right now. So in crafting, I'm going to move to the next phase of this class, is how do we get a campaign? If we decide, yes, this is something I really would like to do, I think it makes sense for me at this time, how do I make it work? And the most important part of your webinar funnel is your webinar. So let's talk about what makes a webinar work and how to avoid some typical mistakes on that. Number one, what we're seeing now is that these webinars need to be shorter. During COVID, when everybody sort of made the switch to doing online workshops or webinars, we were looking at 60 minutes for a webinar. And those were going pretty well. Those were working pretty well because everybody was locked down, right? We were all sitting around thinking, what are we going to do with our time? And so people had a longer attention span to go watch a 60-minute class. They would do that. What we are seeing now is that people's attention spans and their patience for a class getting shorter and shorter. So you still want to have enough content in there that you get folks pre-qualified so you can have high quality conversations and so that they are eager to move forward. But you need to do it a lot faster than just a few years ago. So what we're seeing is, that 20-minute time frame being sort of the sweet spot. If it's a really entertaining, really captivating webinar, you might be able to get by with 40 minutes, but we kind of want to really push it and try to condense it into that 20-minute time slot so we don't lose people before we get to the good stuff, right? The next part of this is you really want to focus on problems, not on legal solutions. So the webinar about how does revocable living trust work and delves into all the aspects of that, and God forbid, even more advanced ideas than that. Here's your grantor retained annuity trust, things like that. That's not what people are interested in, and you're going to lose folks. You're not going to end up getting good results from a webinar that's really based on like teaching a law class, right? What you want to do is focus on problems that people face that they may or may not be aware of. They may not realize that this is a problem. And so you want to illustrate that to them. And you want to illustrate that to people in an entertaining and relatable way. So, lecturing people is not a good method for your webinar. People don't like to be lectured to, but they love to hear stories. And every single client that I've worked with has stories. And some of the stories are hilarious, and some of the stories are tragic. And one of the things that when we work with our clients on creating their scripts, is we try to pull out from them, what are some of these stories that you can tell that will be entertaining, that will captivate, and people can relate to them. They can see themselves in that story. And that's how you tell the story and focus on the problems without getting into legalese and, like a legal lecture. Your online viewers are not interested in that. So you're going to keep it short. You're going to focus on problems, tell stories, and then you need to offer a solution, but you need to be, careful that the solution is not a document, right? It's not a will. It's not a living trust. The solution is to book a call. So even though there is not a one-size-fits-all solution for estate planning or elder law problems, there is one solution for these people who are watching your webinar, and that is to book a call with you. So your call to action should be very clear that, information is good, but information alone does not solve the problem. The problem doesn't get solved until you take action, and that means you need to book a call and let's start the conversation. So those are the key components of a webinar that performs well. It's relatively short. It focuses on problems and does that in a storytelling manner. And then it has a very clear call to action so that people know exactly what to do when they are watching this webinar and they see themselves in one of those problem situations and they think, oh my gosh, I have to solve that. Oh, how easy would this be? I could just book a free 15-minute phone call. So it's not giving away a free consultation. It's just, we're going to get on the phone and we're going to see whether we should book a consultation, whether this is going to be a good fit. So you want to make it something that's very easy for them and leverages your time. So it's not like they're going to come into your office and sit down for an hour and take up your time. No, it's just a phone call. That's what we see works really well for this webinar marketing funnel. Now, of course, it can be the greatest webinar on the planet, but if we don't get people to watch it, then it's not going to work very well for you, right? We've got to get it in front of people. One of the things that we find works as a key to this is having expert third-party management. It puts you working in your level and area of genius, and then it hires someone to work in their level and area of genius. So here's how we get people into the webinar. The first question we have to ask is, are we going to do paid advertising, or are we going to work with organic social media posting and just, word of mouth? While we always encourage all of our clients to post about their webinars, to talk about their webinars, we find that if you really are if you're really committed to getting new leads, getting more volume, getting more revenue, then paid advertising is going to be the way to go. And paid advertising can get expensive if you don't know what you're doing. So you can throw away a lot of money. One of the things that we find is that Facebook is much more effective for this marketing strategy than Google. And the reason is, on Facebook, we can get in front of people for a very low cost. We can get in front of the people that we know will need estate planning. We can laser target those people who are in the demographic and the geographic that they would make good clients for you. And then you have to kind of give them some education and be in front of them over and over so that they say, yeah, this is something I need to get off the back burner. I need to bring it to the front burner. And so what we find in terms of paid advertising is that Facebook is the hands down winner for the webinar marketing funnel. Now there's a place for Google ads, but this isn't it. We also have discovered over the last few years that these on Facebook lead forms are working really, really well. When we first started doing a webinar marketing for ourselves and for our clients, we would use a registration page. So we would send people from Facebook to our website where they would register for the webinar on our website, and then they could see the webinar. And what we found, is that consumer behavior changes over time, but also with updates in the Facebook algorithm and in the way that Facebook can and cannot track people across the web these days, privacy rules that have gone in place. As much as we can keep on Facebook on the platform, we're finding that we're better off. So we use these on Facebook lead forms, and I'm going to show you how this works in just a minute. So they're basically registering for the webinar on Facebook, and then that takes them directly to go watch. So that's a change that we've made over the past few years, as opposed to using what you may have seen in the past, this registration page on the website. We're just finding that these lead forms work much, much better. So then the next thing that we have to look at is, what does the ad itself, what's the ad creative? What do we need for your market and your offer? And sometimes, we have a lot of data because we work exclusively in estate planning and elder law. So we have a pretty good educated guess before we ever get started based on the data that we've seen across the board. But we may have to do a little bit of testing. What we're looking for is, can we stop people from scrolling? Can we get their attention? And where? That's the other question, is where should we place the ads? Should we go just in the news feed? Should we go in the right-hand corner? Should we put these on Instagram as well? There are a lot of questions about where we should be doing the placements. Those things will vary based on your market and your offer, and then what we find in the testing so that we can optimize the budget. Audience targeting. Facebook has taken away a lot of the audience targeting that we used to be able to use, so we've had to get pretty creative. Sometimes we test different audiences for your webinar. Sometimes the age and location are all we need. It gives us the exact audience. It works great. Sometimes we have to go to third-party vendors and see if we can find some lists that we can upload and create lookalike audiences. So there are lots of ways that you can target your audience, and that will make a big difference in how well your ads perform. Obviously, we've got to have the tracking in place, which we put in place for all of our clients, so that we can monitor how well this ad is performing. And so we want to see, how many people convert, at what cost, and then are those good quality leads? Because we don't want to flood you with a bunch of, cheap leads that are not qualified. So are they marketing qualified leads? So we have to have that tracking in place to be able to tell that. And then we always want to come back and meet with you. So what we do is, your marketing coach would look at your stats. She'll be, he or she will be adjusting and tweaking, but then on a regular basis, sitting down with you and saying, this is what we've seen. This is what we suggest. Can you give me some feedback? How are your calls going? How are things working for you on your side? Do we need some feedback from you to make things work better? So on the organic and free promotion, which if you have already a webinar and you don't have budget to really do a lot of advertising, you may want to go this route. You can drive leads using free promotion, posting on social media, blogging about your webinar, making sure your website promotes your webinar, that that people who land on your website, so all of your SEO and everything is working for you, and then they see the opportunity to go watch your webinar. You can also, if you have a prospect list to email, you can email people with the link to watch your webinar. These methods can work very well. So if you're in a position, pardon me, where you don't have the budget to start advertising, but you do have a good video, a good webinar already, then there's a lot of things that you can do that are free that can work really well for you. Excuse me, I had to take a drink of water there. The downside of this is that it's really difficult to track, and it takes a lot of your ongoing effort. It's pretty hard to scale. But even our clients that are running paid ads, we encourage them to do as much organic and free promotion of that webinar as they possibly can, because that's just going to bring down your cost per lead. It's just going to lower your client acquisition costs. Now, with paid advertising, we really want to look at Facebook over Google, using those on Facebook lead forms and making sure we have integration into the CRM for the automated follow-up. The biggest advantages here is because we have all this data, we can make data-based decisions. Now we can have something that's very scalable and very predictable. The downside is it's hard to DIY this. The learning scale, the learning curve is steep, and the mistakes that you make along the way can really be very costly. So paid advertising really does require a budget allocation, both for the ad spend, the money that you're spending actually for your ads, and for expert management, so that you don't waste a lot of money and you don't waste a lot of time. Remember, the biggest cost is the money that you're not making. So when these ads don't work, then that opportunity cost gets really high. So if, like I said before, if this budget thing is an issue for you, but you do already have a good webinar, then by all means, use the organic promotion that you can do for free to help get some revenue in the door and get some learning. And then maybe you get in a position where you can then afford to do some ad spend and pay for ad management. So there's lots of options. There's not just like one thing that's going to work here. But I want to show you now how this on Facebook lead form works. This is an ad that we run for one of our clients. What you see here is the mobile version on the left, and then the desktop version. So people see this ad and they click to learn more. So what happens when they do that? A form pops up right on Facebook. They click on next, then they enter their information. When they do that, two things happen. We have the integration with your CRM. So all this information that they have entered on their form goes into your CRM, and that triggers and launches the automations that will nurture that lead to become a prospect and book a call. Then they, after they submitted, then they get the next screen, which says you can join the class now, and they can click on that blue button and go straight to watching the webinar. So as soon as they complete that form, we've collected that information, we've put it into the CRM, and now we're building our email list, we're building our retargeting list, and we've launched our email automations. And you see why I say that it's important to have these things in place. We build out these automations, but if you've got a CRM that's already working for you, then that's where we would build them out for our clients. So that's kind of the progression of the ad campaign. Now, how do we get the most people watching that webinar? It's with the paid advertising, social media engagement. So I don't know if you noticed on one of Brenda's ads, she had like 399 comments. So anytime somebody comments on that ad, they're responding to those comments. That's engagement. That's really being active on the platform. These email automations for people to confirm their submission, to encourage them to watch. So we send them the link so they can go watch again if they didn't watch when they submitted their form. And then we send some emails that just add value, that don't really sell anything. We send them a checklist, or we send them a white paper, or we send them to watch another video. So we're giving them value in these email drip campaigns to nurture those people along. And then all of those people go into our retargeting audience. So and we build that retargeting audience around anyone that has engaged with us on Facebook, that has visited our website and fired that pixel, or watched a video on Facebook for any amount of time. So we could set the 15 seconds of a video view. We get this retargeting audience built up, and we find that the ROI on the retargeting is very high. So a lot of times when we first start a campaign, we don't have a retargeting audience yet. But once we get this running, we're always building that. So we're building the email list and the retargeting list. So once we have people into our funnel, they've submitted the form, how do we get them to convert? So here are some of the things that we implement. A text message that would go out. If we get their phone number, then we can send them a text message. Now, we always send an email at the same time because sometimes those phone numbers are not mobile, the text message doesn't go through, etc. But a text message we are finding is extremely powerful. Then we also send out that email immediately. That's part of the automation. We trigger the follow-up drip campaign. So, I just want to make this point that when people fill out the form on Facebook, that's just the beginning of the marketing funnel working. Okay, there's still a lot more to this funnel. You need to have calendar availability. That's why I mentioned earlier, if you don't have excess capacity, if you don't have somebody who can make a phone call to follow up on these leads, and you don't have any calendar availability for people to book a call, this is a program that isn't going to work for you. You have to have that calendar availability or be able to make calendar availability. Early on, when we first started doing webinars for people, we had a client come in and they were only going to open up their calendar for calls between 10 and 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's just not going to work. There's just not enough availability for this kind of a program to really work for you. So it's important to be able to have open spaces in your calendar. What we encourage our clients to do is to book that discovery call. So it's just 15 minutes. Someone on your staff who can be trained how to handle that discovery call can make that discovery call. If you are a true solo, you don't have any staff, then you can make that discovery call. But you want to be sure that your point of that call is to qualify the prospect and get them booked if they do qualify. That call is not an initial consultation to give them advice. It's really to pre-qualify them, and if they are pre-qualified, then to get them booked. And someone on your staff or you can handle that. We give training, we give you some scripts to go through so that you get the information that you need on that discovery call. Then you got to be able to meet with people and get them engaged. That's really the process. And if you find that you're not very good at that you're having struggles with that, we've got the training and the coaching to help you improve those sales skills. Especially, if you're bringing on an associate who hasn't ever done this before, that could be really valuable for you in that process. So those are the keys, making sure that you have that immediate follow-up, that you have the email drip, that you have availability on your calendar, that you're willing and able to do a good discovery call and then close on that consultation for people who are very well qualified. So now, how do you decide whether this webinar is working for you? What are some of the benchmarks? How do you decide if you should be adding more budget because everything's working great, we just need to put some more money on it? Or if you need to make a change in your ad, you just change your creative, change your audience. How do you, when do you declare success? When do you say we should make a change? I'm going to share with you some of the metrics that we use with our clients to help us manage these campaigns and where we feel like success has been achieved. So the first thing is, what's your minimum viable budget? We recommend for all of our clients to have availability of $50 a day. A lot of our clients start at $25 a day, but if this thing works, you're going to want to go up to $50 a day. That is kind of what we see as a sweet spot. Some of our clients are doing really, really well, and they're putting in $65 a day. Some of them might even be putting in $100, but kind of we're looking at $50 a day, which averages out then to about $1,500 a month on your ad spend. Now you can cut that in half when you're starting to $25 a day. Is a good starting point to see, you're going to do some testing, you're going to do some tweaking, you're going to get it dialed in. But, a goal is to be able to spend $50 a day. Now, of course, that's going to be variable depending on your market, but that's a good metric to be looking at. We have another metric that we look at, and it's called the click-through rate, the CTR. And that means how many of the people that see your ad click on it. We want to be sure that that number is greater than 1%. Now, the bigger than 1%, the more that it's greater than 1%, the better. But if we're seeing ads that aren't getting at least a 1% click-through rate, then we know we have a problem with either the targeting, we're showing the ad to the wrong people, or the creative. The ad itself is not catching attention. So that's one of the first things that we look at is what's the click-through rate on this ad? And if it's better than 1%, then we probably are pretty well dialed in on the audience and the message. How many leads per month? What we're seeing on average for a well-performing funnel, about 70 to 80 leads per month when we're using the on Facebook lead form ads. So that's a metric that I'm looking for. If I've got a good click-through rate and I've got a healthy budget, then I should be getting between 70 and 80 leads per month from this campaign. What should I be paying per lead? I want to see that number less than $20 per lead. Now, I'm going to show you some cases where we're seeing leads coming in at $5. We're seeing leads coming in at 10, 11, 12. We're seeing on average, I think our average is 14 per lead. But I don't want to see it over 20. And if it is over 20, then I'm going to go back and look at my targeting, and I'm going to look at my ad creative, because I want to that I should, with these on Facebook lead forms, I should be able to get that below $20 per lead. And I've seen people that come to us from other agencies where they're paying $35. I even saw one that was paying $65 per lead. So when you see those kinds of numbers, you need to know that they are way out of whack. There's huge opportunity to bring these numbers down. And again, this is at this point, this is today. A few years ago, it could have been more expensive. In the future, who knows? But today, these are the benchmarks that we look at to judge the performance of these webinar funnels. Some of the most common mistakes that we see, too much legal education in the webinar. Not enough storytelling, not enough engagement, and keeping people, watching. You can really lose your audience if your webinar production itself isn't very good, if the audio isn't good, if the video is grainy, and if the slides are amateurish. You want to be sure that you are polished with this webinar production. Because people have lots of choices, and it's very easy online to just click away, and they have very low tolerance for an amateurish production. So you want to be sure that your webinar production is polished and professional. Again, I can't stress this enough. Having availability on your calendar for people to book a call. If there's no availability that's going to be convenient for them, then that can really push down your results. Not having adequate follow-up. A lot of times people think, 2 or 3, maybe 4 emails is enough. You need a much longer drip campaign. You really want to nurture these people because they're pretty well qualified if they've jumped through all these hoops. But you want that to be automated so you don't have to, worry about it. It just runs in the background. The other one I see is just trying to manage these ads yourself. Like I said, the learning curve is steep and mistakes are very costly. If you can't if you can't afford to get expert help to manage the ads, then I would strongly suggest that you use all of the organic or free promotion tools that you have available to you, and not kind of waste your time and money trying to figure out the technology behind running these ads on Facebook. And then I would say another one that's really important. Sometimes the attorney will decide this is something that we really want to do. We need more volume. We need more leads. I'm going to do this. And they don't stop and get the staff to buy in. And they don't give this, the staff's not involved in the decision. They're not involved in the creation, and they don't get any training. And then they kind of have some resentment when these calls get booked and they don't understand the whole thing. And they can do things not intentionally necessarily to sabotage, but they can sabotage it. Maybe they just don't care enough. They don't handle the calls well. They kind of roll their eyes. This is a dumb idea. So it's really important to have everybody on your team buy into this, because they can make it be extremely successful, or they can really undermine it. And like I'm saying, I don't think that anybody necessarily intentionally undermines it, but there are little things that can be done that can really sabotage this, and you can avoid all that if you get the staff to really understand and buy in that this is a great idea. This is going to work well. It's going to help us have better qualified leads. It's going to help us reach more people, all those things where you can get everybody on your team really, working for you. So that's a big one. I really like to see people get that in place. So I want to show you some of my top performers and what they're getting in terms of results, so you have some idea of what the goals would be. Okay. We have Michelle, who year to date, now this is just from January through today, I pulled these numbers last night, has had 718 leads come through her webinar marketing funnel. Additionally, now that 718 is the big number, and she's got an average of $16.05 per lead. That's a very good number. But look at that impressions, 411,000 impressions of her ad. That's also important, because that's building her brand. It's building her visibility on social media and online. And so that is part of the momentum that you get from doing these kinds of advertising campaigns. Now, Brenda, this is through today. This is not a full year. She has 1,000 leads through her webinar funnel, and she's paying on average $11.42 per lead. She's had 259,990 impressions. So she's in a pretty big market. So those impressions are very important, that people are seeing her ad, and that's building her brand and building her authority. Maurice, through today, has had 946 leads come through his webinar funnel at an average cost of $14.46 per lead. Again, the impressions being in the hundreds of thousands. And then Rudy, who is in estate planning and elder law, has had 994 leads for the first three quarters. We're not even into the fourth quarter of this year yet. He's paying on average $12.44 per lead. So we're driving good quality leads, we're driving them at a good price, and we're getting that bonus of the visibility into the marketplace. And some of these are pretty competitive markets, so it's very, very important to be building that visibility. So how do we do that? The first thing is we sit down with our clients and we have a strategy meeting to determine their goals, what resources they have, what their budget's going to be able to be, what their audience should be, and what their offer is. Is it estate planning? Is it probate? Is it elder law, etc.? Then we work together to develop the script. We design the slides. We work with you to get the quality audio recording, and then we do the video production for you. So it's all done very professionally and polished, done for you. Then we build out the funnel. We do the landing pages, we do the integration with the CRM, we do the calendar integration, we set up the email automations and all of the tracking. Then we set up the ads. So we do the creative, the copywriting, the imagery. We do the targeting. We set the budgets. We get the ads approved from Facebook. We set everything up, and then we do the testing. So based on the testing and the data, that's how we begin to optimize and dial in those ads. Then we have that ongoing funnel management where we're tracking the performance, the audience, the budget updates, and meeting with our clients to talk about this ad performance. And do we want to add more budget? Do we want to pull off? Do we want to change our message a little bit? Do we want to expand or contract our audience? Things like that. And then sometimes it's very important that we get some of this sales training in, either for staff or associate attorneys or for the attorney, him or herself. It's very important that we're able to close these clients and get a good profitable fee. And then that's how you see this whole thing really lift the revenue for the law firm, when you get all these pieces working together and you have, a steady stream of marketing qualified leads and you're able to close them. And all of this stuff is happening automatically, and you're not having to manage it yourself and, get out there and do a workshop or do a live webinar over and over and over. It's something that can really be budget and time leveraged. So is this funnel, is a webinar marketing funnel, is this the right idea for you right now? Firstly, do you have capacity? Do you need more leads, or you want more qualified leads? Do you have a foundation already that is a good, well-designed website? Do you have 5-star reviews online? Do you have the ability for us to implement marketing automations for you? And do you have enough budget? Do you have enough budget to run a funnel like this, to run the ads and to do the management? If you can say yes to those things, then this could be a very good strategy for you as an augment to the other things that you're doing with your marketing. And I always remember, right? Some of these things cost money. They're an investment, but the biggest cost in your law firm right now is the money that you're not making. So these investments they really pale in comparison to the revenue that can be generated and the opportunities for you to free up your time and do something else. Very big, very, very cost effective. So if this is something that you're interested in doing and you're interested in having expert help to do it, we would love to talk to you. We offer that free discovery call, like we talked that you should be offering. You can either go to our website, imsrocks.com/apply, and book a call, just 15 minutes to talk about it and see whether this is something that, we could help you with. Or if you've got your cell phone out, you can scan that QR code right now, and it'll take you to our booking page right now. So guys, I hope this is helpful to you. If you want our help to make this work for you very well, we're more than happy to talk to you about it. If you can take some of these ideas and use them on your own and kind of get to a better place, maybe, then I'm more power to you. I really hope that you can take something from this and use it yourself as well. We would love to work with you. We'd love to just have that quick conversation and see whether this is something that is going to be helpful for you, and if it's the right decision, and if we're the right fit, perhaps, to help you make this a success. And at this time, that's all I've got, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If you guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me directly. My email is jennifer@estateplanningpartners.com. That's really how we see ourselves. We see ourselves as partners for you guys. So if you want to reach out to me with any questions, any clarification that you might want, you can email me directly, jennifer@estateplanningpartners.com. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.